What is up, everybody? I know it's been a while, but welcome back to The Verse. Raw Moon from Compost Universe as always. Behind the camera, we have Joel from Dead Within Days. Last two episodes, we talked about Acts 1 and Act 2 of the Slip Saga. Today, we're going to finish that off with Slip Act 3, Clash of Ideologies, A Redemption in Blood. So, at the end of Act 2, we finally had Sheldon really start to learn about the forces that control the world. His main enemy in this story is going to be the cult of vampires, and now he's on his adventure. Over the course of this third installment, he's going to actually clash with some of the vampires, but at the same time, he's going to have to decide what's most important. Defeating his enemy or saving the innocent? Is forgiveness possible? Is redemption possible? That's some of the questions we're going to answer. The first song on the album, it's actually two songs in one, which will happen a couple times across this. It's called The Angry Young Man / Jimbo, What's Coming to You. This song had so many inspirations from different friends of mine, different people I work with creatively, and it really did what we were trying to do here on The Verse. It drew connections from all these different projects. So it started because around 2021, a friend of mine, Dylan, who used to play in the band Sweet Hollow, sent me this guitar riff. He said, really a demo of a full song. And the name of the file was Jimbo. He said, I dare you to use this for Slip. I'm probably going to use it for the Sweet Hollow album, but I dare you to use it for Slip. So I said, okay. So I started messing around with it, and I came up with this concept, what's coming to you? You're going to get what's coming to you. It actually calls back to Act 1 on the song Dark Days. That's just like one of the lines I say. And when that guy Dylan listened to the song, he was stricken by that line. And I kind of use that as like the refrain. That's how the chorus is saying, you're going to get what's coming to you. In this song, our character Sheldon, he knows of this man named Jimbo who's living his life in not the best way. He's fucking up. He goes to warn him, you're going to get what's coming to you. You have to change this around before it's too late. If that sounds familiar to you, it should, because in Act 1, our main character Daniel-san went to warn a man named Hector. The way you're living, the vampires are going to come for you. You're going to get one of them. You're going to become one of them, and trust me, it's a miserable existence. He didn't heed the warning, and we saw how it turned out for him. Another inspiration for this song was I had a conversation with my right hand, Sean's son. He was talking about a man he listens to, a lecturer named Alan Watts, and how he gave people like advice on how to like live better, live more wholesome lives. Yet he lived his own life. He said, I see too many women, I drink too much, you know? And one thing that he used to do that was very controversial was shooting birds out of the sky for sport. Not for hunting, he just kind of shot them out of the sky for whatever, he sharpening his aim. And I was stricken by the image of that. I was like, the idea of someone shooting birds out of the sky, like cutting their wings down, you know? And the next friend I want to highlight is my friend Nicolo Filipazzo, who appears on this album twice. During the pandemic, he got stranded in Japan. He flew to Japan the end of 2019, and the world shut down, and he couldn't get a flight back, and he had to get a job there and live there for 2 years. And he telling the story of how he got stranded, he made these instrumental, like, symphonic orchestral pieces using synths and MIDI, and he made animations to go with them. And he played the finale of this story for me, where there's this beautiful sunset happening over this like epic closing piece of music. And I was like, can you make something for me like this? So he and another guy named Josh Boda from my old band As Levees Break, they each made animated pieces for me. And I had 4 of my friends appear on the song as well. Tom from the Stitched Up, Sean Sun from the Stitched Up, my girlfriend Emily, and Josh from His Levy's Break. They all sang this harmony for me, and under like the main refrain that I was singing. And Phil Pazzo, on top of making this video for me, he made this like classical orchestral piece. So I kind of connected the conversation I had with Sean, the demo that Dylan sent me, and the animation that Josh and Phil Pazzo made for me with Philly's classical music project. I took these projects and put them in a blender to make this awesome project, What's Coming to You. And that's how we open the album. One more buddy of mine I want to highlight is Ben Jeffrey from They Found Glory, my boy down in Florida. He made an album a couple years ago called Japan. It's a love story about an author that goes to Japan, and I played drums on the last song that we called The Sun. So another tie-in is his album Japan, the song The Sun I played on. Slip is telling the story of the moon. I kind of put this sunset in this animation to show the contrast between the two, the duality of the light and the dark, the good and the evil, time going forward, looking to the past, looking to the future. Kind of tied all these things together. So here's a clip of that animation, that song. Again, this is what starts off this album. So we start with our hero, King Sheldon, on his journey. At the end of Act 2, he finally went out to sea, and he's starting to really learn about the world. He just wanted to go to sea to explore everything. He believed in freedom of the seas. He thought that the world was just his oyster to travel through, and he starts to learn of the forces in his way. His first major enemy he's going to come across are these vampires. But along the way, he meets a guy named Jimbo. He likes this dude. He has a beer with him. But he realized this guy, he's overly violent. He gambles a little too much with his time and money. And he warns him, like, yo, the way you're acting, you're going to get what's coming to you. So stop putting out so much negativity. And he hopes that this guy is redeemable before it's too late, because he is already starting to learn what happens when you kind of deal in these dark forces. So we move through the album with the next couple songs. We have a thrash metal song called Plagued Forever. It is inspired by the 10 biblical plagues, the 7 deadly sins. It is really about how just when you live in violence, you're going to die in violence. It really expands on the idea of the intro. The people that make the wrong choices, they live their lives the wrong way, they die in these violent ways, they get involved in this bloodshed. We move on to Alfonso. That's another one of the singles from the album. Features my friend Ben from They Found Glory. Alfonso is another one of the vampires we meet. Sheldon actually has a conflict with him, resulting in Alfonso's death. Sheldon's kind of like, if I'm not directly trying to start war with the vampires, but if they get in my way, I'm going to fight them. And I'm going to do what it takes to win. The conflict is escalating as we go on. The more he meets these vampires and interacts with them, the higher they want him dead, because he's in their way. And he He wants to go on this grand adventure. And these guys are in his way from starting what he really wants to do. He's really figuring out what that is. But he knows these guys are in his way. He knows these guys are bad for the world at large. He knows they feed on the innocent. They creep him out. So the more he meets them, the more he wants to fight them. And that brings us to our next like two-part song, another two tracks in one. We have Vampires in the Dead of Night and It Don't Discriminate. Uh, Vampires in the Dead of the Night, my friend Nicolo, who made me part of my animation, he sent me this song and he called it Vampires in the Dead of Night. It's really just a song about just a real gothic, creepy song about the life of a vampire. And he asked me to just kind of shred on it, play lead guitar. And I asked him, like, are you using this for something? And he said, no, I just kind of made it for fun. So I was like, can I use it for my album? And he knew exactly what I was talking about. He said, the vampire one? Do it. So this is kind of an interlude. And I usually, when I have a guest appearance on one of my songs, I'll say, like, the name of the song, like Alfonso featuring Ben Jeffrey. But because it's not really featuring Filipazzo, this is his song, I called it starring Niccolo Filipazzo. Almost like he's an actor on the stage helping me narrate this story along. And it moves into the next song, It Don't Discriminate, about halfway through the track. And that's really just about how the temptation to go the wrong way, to let your greed and lust like lead you on the wrong path, doesn't discriminate. Anybody can, good or bad, strong or weak, old or young, rich or poor, anybody can be led the wrong way. I'm really proud of that song too. It's like this. When I started doing the Slip concept, I had a bunch of ideas of like different types of songs I wanted to do, and I really wanted to do like a piano-driven like blues ballad. That's this song. It Don't Discriminate. We get into another two-part song. We call this next piece Ezekiel Reprise and an Ode to the Old Guard. On one side of it, it's Sheldon reflecting on like those who came before him, those who experienced this shit with these vampires before him. And what I did musically was I took 5 songs from Slip Act 1, the most prominent one being the song Ezekiel, and I made them into like one giant song that's based around riffs from those old songs. And I just talked about like the changing of times, generations getting old and getting complacent while newer generations come in to replace them with new ideas. and I'm reflecting on the time that's passed between the story of Act 1 and the current story of Act 3. As Sheldon's going on, he's also seeing the vampires getting complacent. Their whole thing is staying young forever by drinking blood, and yet they're appearing to be old. A lot of the ways that uh, we describe these vampires in a lot of the stories will say he smiled, but he didn't look happy. They're not really like enjoying this. They're not motivated anymore, but they keep their lifestyle up because it enriches them. But it's an empty cause. The cause of doing whatever it takes to drink blood. Just you'll pull strings and you'll fuck with the politics of the world to cause a war just so there'll be more blood to drink. After thousands of years of doing that, you're gonna get bored. And Sheldon sees that. He sees a crumbling empire before him. But again, they'll kill him before they let him stop them. And that's kind of where we're moving. It's just this like times are changing, and this entity of authority is crumbling whether they like it or not as we're moving forward. So that song kind of reflects on both sides of it. It actually is told from Daniel-san's point of view in the afterlife after he's already dead, reflecting on how it's like I was so young and so dumb, even though I was immortal and living multiple lifetimes. And now that I'm old enough and mature enough to really make a change, I'm dead. So hopefully someone beyond me is making a change. And that's what Sheldon's starting to do. So as we move on, Sheldon has another conflict with another one of the vampires. This one's name's Jeremiah. He goes by the Dreamcatcher. And after defeating him, Sheldon realizes that there's a party where all the vampires are going to be present. And he realizes, like, I can just go fuck them up. I'll just go kill them all and put an end to this, be done with this. So he makes his way to this party, and he realizes it's a recruiting party for Jimbo. They want to induct him to be one of them. And Jimbo is being tricked into go. As the story's been going on, Jimbo's been trying to make these little changes. He's been trying to live less selfishly. He's less prone to violence. He sees his friend Jimbo is trying to turn his life around, but he's about to be roped into this blood pact party and be tricked into being turned into one of these monsters. So when Sheldon gets there, instead of killing them all, he decides to rescue Jimbo. And Jimbo says to him, like, why would you rescue me? I've been fucking up. You know, I haven't helped you. I've been just screwing up. You should have just let me die with him. And he says, if I didn't save you, if you weren't able to be redeemed, if I couldn't find value in your redemption, then what's the point of all this? Why am I destroying these monsters, these dark forces, if people can't turn around and live better tomorrow than they did today? So that's kind of where the story goes. The last official song of the album before the instrumental closing is called Still Slippin', where this guy's making a difference by just moving along, living freely, and encouraging others to do the same. Letting people know that you can change, you can do better, you can do good rather than bad. So he has this hero's dilemma where he has a choice between just destroying his enemy or saving one guy. And he chooses to see the value in redemption. He saves Jimbo. So at the end, when Sheldon chooses to save Jimbo rather than destroy the vampires, in a way it's like the vampires are destroyers. They destroy to kind of just keep their lifestyle going. They'll destroy just because they're thirsty for blood. And Sheldon has the opportunity to become a destroyer, and instead he chooses to save Jimbo. Right? He kind of, there's a duality because there could be a moral bad of saving one person at the cost of destroying these villains, but at the same time he rejects the temptation to become a destroyer, to become like the villain. He says, I live to fight another day, these guys, their empire's crumbling. I'll probably fight more of them in the future, but instead of destroying, I create an opportunity for this guy to be redemptioned. And that song is Blood Pirate Redeemer towards the end of the album. I think it's the third to last song. And that's going to bring us to the close. There's one more song at the end, so we have our instrumental closing track, just like we did in the first two acts. This one's called Ideology. And there's a slight pause after it, and about after 20-30 seconds of silence, we go into the song I mentioned way back in our second episode, Kicking Dandelions. And we have a man just kicking wishes out of the sky. And he kind of is warning Sheldon, oh, well, you killed these vampires, you fucked with my business. So now you're going to get what's coming to you. And that sets us up for the next concept where we tell Sheldon's true story. It's kind of like we mentioned Marvel way back in the beginning of the podcast. The end of all the Marvel movies, there would always be a scene after the credits roll that kind of hints at the next movie that's going to come out or the next time this hero is going to appear. This kind of serves as that. Like, this is the end of the Slip Saga. Here's the next story we're going to tell. Slip in its entirety is a story about the changing moral trends as time goes on. Time going by and the changing of the guard across generations is a huge theme in it. The idea of temptation and how good and evil surrounds that, the duality between the two, just the temptation to slip off the right path. We all slip off the right path and we try to get back on, and hopefully you don't slip down that mountain into a sea of corruption. And that's really it. And I've been having so much fun creating this project. I've been working on it for like 8 years now. I finished Act 1 in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. I put it out on YouTube and Bandcamp. And Act 2 grew to be something so vast because of so many different collaborations that I wanted to do. I mentioned Song of the Sea, that's going to have like 50 people, 40 people play a solo of some sort on. I'm still bothering Joel to get me something for it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is for Act 3, all the collaborations and guest appearances have happened already. So now it's just me, one by one, finishing these songs. And they're a lot more ambitious than my older music. I kind of just keep making bigger stuff, I feel like. But overall, just one by one finishing these songs. So by the time I get Act 2 done, Act 3 will be out. What's great about it taking me so long to do is that I've had so much time to think about what it means to the overall story I'm telling, where it fits into Compo's universe. And it helped me put into context the 7 projects I did before. Chronologically, Slip is the 8th album in the Ghost City Lemon story. And my plan is to have 12 album projects. Some of those, like Slip, incorporate multiple albums. So because I have my first 7, and those are all single albums, and now this is this project with, it's 3 acts, and each act has another album that attaches to it. So this is actually a 6-album saga, plus there's a whole bunch of singles with B-sides, and that's enough tracks to make a 7th album to go with it. I consider this really the halfway point of the Ghost City Lemon story. And that's what we're going to talk about next episode. Our season finale of the verse, we're going to talk about how Slip put into context what came before and what's going to come after. How Slip is going to tell the Ghost City Lemon story from inside out. So stay tuned for next time. That's what we're talking about next time on the verse. Subscribe to Moon Groove Records. Follow Compo's Universe on Instagram. Keep tuning in to our podcast. We'll see you next time.